a lot of those top podcasters, a bunch of them don't have kids, which is a problem.
Lex, why do all the big male podcasters not have kids? They all talk about the population crisis and this, that, and the other.
If you have kids, then we're not going to be able to just be free and do whatever we want.
Or be perpetual children for the rest of your life. That's a big issue with the generation coming up, is because they're slower to grow up.
Time to grow up.
They're slower to get driver's licenses. They're slower to move out of the house. It's all happening, about 10 years later than it used to happen. Hello and welcome to the Brothers Random Show. My name is Travis.
And I'm Michael.
And we are two ordinary brothers discussing extraordinary ideas and some random shit. Michael, why are we here?
Today we are discussing having families and making it cool again, especially in pop culture.
What prompted this was a discussion between Stephen Bartlett and Chris Williamson, both of which you and I follow and listen to their podcast pretty regularly. They're both consistently in the top 20 podcasts in the world.
It just came out on Spotify that they were both in the top 10.
Yeah.
As Chris Williamson liked to say, number 2 podcaster interviewing number 8 podcaster.
8th biggest in the world talking to 2nd biggest in the world. Congratulations.
So that was pretty fun. But one of the things they talked about, they covered a whole bunch of stuff. One of the things they talked about was the fact that both of them want to have children.
Inconceivable.
They don't yet have children, but they both talk about the fact that they are actively trying to have kids in the next little while.
Actually, the most meaningful thing you can do is increase the amount of dependence and responsibility that you have.
This is an unteachable lesson, dude. That you should probably have kids now, right? That could be a lesson, perhaps.
Yeah.
That you will never feel ready. That could be an unteachable
100%.
lesson.
This, I think, is huge. If you look at a lot of those top podcasters, a bunch of them don't have kids, which is a problem.
Lex,
why do all the big male podcasters not have kids? All the big male podcasters not have kids. They all talk about the population crisis and this, that, and the other. And then it was like Chris Williamson, Huberman, Lex, Stephen. None of them.
Lex Friedman doesn't have kids. Andrew Huberman doesn't have kids. Andrew Huberman's probably the oldest that doesn't. Joe Rogan has kids. He's the only one I can think of that actually has kids. I think the Weinsteins both have children.
Tucker Carlson has kids, but they also mention that they're kind of a little older.
Of a different generation.
Yeah. I think it's huge that they're saying especially that they're just coming out and saying that they want to have children. Seems like nowadays it's like if you come out wanting to have kids, it's almost like back in the 80s coming out LGBT. It's like you got to admit it to your friends. Hey guys, I think I want to have kids.
No! God, please, no! 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 No!
What? No.
No, you can't.
If you have kids, then we're not going to be able to just be free and do whatever we want.
Or be perpetual children for the rest of your life. That's a big issue with the generation coming up, is because they're slower to grow up. They're slower to get driver's licenses. They're slower to move out of the house. It's all happening, about 10 years later than it used to happen.
Accepting responsibility.
Yeah.
Time to grow up.
I think it's really just this cultural shift away from accepting responsibility and taking on something that's going to keep you from having fun.
Both of us are fathers, right? And it doesn't really keep you from having fun. It just changes your fun. You just go from drinking out on having parties on the weekends to hanging out at the house, playing board games or going to a movie that's a kid's movie. I haven't seen an adult movie in the movie theater forever. Your fun changes. It doesn't go away. Your fun doesn't go away.
Yeah. And you also, if you have a friend group and if you have kids, you almost have to either change your friend group or like wait for your friend group to like catch up and have kids as well. But if
Mhm.
you've got people in your friend group that don't have kids, then
They feel isolated.
it's very different because you can't just if
You can't
if
get up
you've
at
got
10 o'clock
friends
in the
who don't
morning
have
after-
kids
yeah.
and you have kids, you'll know. Like there's just a difference of well, we got to take the kids to do this, we got to take the kids to do that, and they're like, well, why can't you just stay up all night and play video games with me or go out and partying with me, kind of thing. It's like, no, I got kids I got to take care of.
It's great responsibility.
Two different worlds, which is why in a lot of friend groups, and this is kind of a cultural thing, where you'll have friend groups that don't have children and they kind of all just won't. And it seems like you'll have friend groups that do start to have children and then they kind of all do it. You know, it's kind of, you kind of get a bit of herd. It's almost like you
A
kind of
herd
move
mentality.
together like a herd with it. And it's probably a good thing. I mean, we're probably built that way. Tribe, kind of a tribe mentality of what's going to help the tribe. And if the tribe is having kids, then you know, you might as well throw in your lot.
In another video, one of Chris Williamson's biggest issues, and that he thinks is going to be the biggest issue, is the birth gap. And one of the problems with our society right now is there's so many young people who are not having children. And you and I have talked about this so many times, but I think we want to relate this to the perpetual youth obsession with pop culture. And I think that's where pop culture is obsessed with youth. And because they're obsessed with youth, they also make child rearing always look either terrible or inconvenient.
Child rearing doesn't translate very well onto the big screen, in a sense. Let's just maybe that's a good way to put it, because you'll have these moments in movies where like there's a crying baby and there's like a toddler that's like throwing shit all over the place and it's mayhem.
They're okay. Don't worry. Everything is under control. No. Monster.
It really does kind of put out this persona of, watch out, having kids is the worst. Like it could be the worst when it can be the most meaningful. And that's a little harder to translate. It can be the most meaningful thing you'll ever do in your whole life, but that is a little harder to translate
onto film. So it's
onto
basically
screen.
it's like a lazy thing that movies do. It's easier to show the chaos of child rearing in movies than it is to show the rewards of child rearing in a movie. And there's some movies that really get it right. I'm thinking of like Alexander and the Terrible No Good Very Bad Day. And then there's also Diary of a Wimpy Kid, and those all came out like mid 2000s. Like 2010s, and those are actually really good, and they're kind of family oriented and they're funny, but they also show a lot of chaos. So what is that conveying to a younger audience? It's conveying to a younger audience that this is going to be chaos and I don't like having chaos in my life. And the thing is that pop culture is obsessed with showing people with the perfect lives, and then in a story your perfect life is kind of upended by this thing coming into it, or you going on an adventure. And maybe movies aren't the best way to convey good family structures.
Yup!
And
Yeah, because most of the time it's about taking the leap, going on an adventure or something like along those lines.
and we're kind of revisiting Stranger Things in this time, just like everybody else is. And one of the things that is so sad about that is that most of the parents in that show look inept, right? There's the mom,
The Wheeler, Mrs. Wheeler.
yeah, Mrs. Wheeler's having an affair at some point in the show.
I mean, she was going to, but she ended up not going.
But it was like flirtatious and all this.
Yeah.
I guess she doesn't really actually go through it, but she was thinking about it, So anyway, that just got to me. Like, it just made me mad. It's like, you ungrateful
Son of a... And now for something completely different.
The DINKS is a acronym for dual income, no children. There's tons of videos online of them. I think a lot of them have become less popular in the last 2 years because people are kind of like, these people are nasty. How dare you like tout your lifestyle of all this money and wealth when you get to travel whenever you want to and all this bullshit.
Kind of in your face stuff.
Kind of in your face stuff to people who are actually raising the next generation that's going to be taking care of your ass. Like, when you're an old person, when you're 80, you're in an old folks home, it's going to be the people who raised children who are going to be taking care of you.
Yeah.
Like, that's messed up.
And not directly, but indirectly, your GDP will.
Yeah. GDP is like, that's
all together.
It kind of lumps into one big thing as a society. That's what you call a society. And when societies break down is when we run into some huge issues.
Yeah.
So,
and you never see a baby in Stranger Things. See, this is also part of the cultural shift. Yeah, having teenagers, having adolescents, oh, that's all well and good. But babies and toddlers, they're the worst. It's pervasive in...
Yeah, House of the Dragon is terrible about it. I stopped watching the show because it depicted children in like a horror show. I mean, every scene that has a kid in it, the kid's screaming, and people really respond poorly to children screaming.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, think about how we see children less in our culture, and now we don't know what to do about them. So you have a kid that's crying on a plane, and everybody's just like, oh, can't you get that kid to shut up? Rather than having like empathy, being like, because nobody else has had kids. They haven't been there. unless they have been there, which if they have been there, they'll probably, maybe not. And because still, I've seen people who have had kids still be unempathetic. But we don't.
And it's different where in different areas. Salt Lake City, Utah, it has a huge family culture as opposed to LA, which doesn't have a family culture almost at all.
Yeah.
So
or like Denver,
Colorado.
Yeah.
Anyway,
very much less so.
Yeah. Let's talk about the graph that you shared with me.
I don't know if you can throw it up on here, but
I'll throw it up.
This graph is just showing the departure that literally is showing the rise of dog ownership versus the decline of children in homes.
So the blue represents children and the orange represents the dog families, I guess is the best way to put it. So
the rise of fur babies.
Jeez.
I can't stand it, but the rise of fur babies, which is a true thing, you see this void get bigger and bigger and bigger as people have less kids or households have less kids and the pets go up, right?
By the early 2020s, it's basically child rearing is at 40% or lower. And fur babies, people with pets, is up to 75%. So it completely forks, which is so sad. If I'm not mistaken, the statistic is 1 in every 4 women over 40 are taking antidepressants. 1 in every 4 women over 40 are taking antidepressants. And I wouldn't necessarily put that on the fact that they don't have children, but it might be that their children are growing up, that their children are leaving,
or possibly that they didn't have children.
Or they didn't have children.
I think its projection is that in the next 10 years, 50% of women in their 40s will not have had a child. I think that might be the statistics.
Should we make sure?
A few moments later.
There's credible research shown that a large and growing share of women reach their 40s without having had a child. Many women aged 20 to 39 are currently childless. In the U.S. in 2024, about 52% of women ages 20 to 39 have not yet given birth. Some forecasts estimate that by 2030, nearly half of women aged 25 to 44 could be single and without children.
That's a sad statistic right there.
The sacrifice that women make, especially in relationship to infants, is pretty obvious and should be celebrated, which is why the image of the Divine Mother and the infant is a sacred image. And any society that doesn't hold that as sacred is off the rails in some fundamental manner, regardless of what anyone says. Of course, a society has to worship the mother and the infant. Or if you don't want to accept that, I don't know what you're rebelling against, but it's certainly the spirit of life itself.
And I guess the reason that you and I are more or less interested in this is we have children, we have young children, we have children that are growing up in this world, and we really want them to have good lives. And the amount of studies done on family and family structures and how good they are for people
or society
is staggering in the positive. They're all positives. Even though people talk about how difficult it is to have children, they don't ever say, I regret having children, unless they're terrible people. But they'll always say that it's difficult, but that gives you purpose.
We have a culture of people who are unwilling to plant a seed that will grow into a tree that they will never enjoy its shade. It's a shift of people not caring what they're giving back to the society.
Really? Yeah. It's selfish. It goes back to the narcissism that these phones, that social media has perpetuated. It's made everybody a narcissist.
You're goddamn right.
And Chris and Steven in Diary of a CEO talking about this, they mention that there are cultural events that can happen that will influence people having children. I think there should be more just movies, pop culture that glorify child rearing.
And maybe make the dad into the hero of the story instead of the villain or the bumbling idiot, or all the above, whatever they're doing.
And I mean, I don't know, the 80s had a lot of movies where the adults were all
idiots.
Yeah, idiots.
Like Home Alone.
Yeah, exactly.
Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Like I guess we've been shifting this way for a while, right?
Yeah. I mean, but also that 80s culture is now coming to fruition, and now being a joke in the 80s, now it's affecting our birth rates. Maybe that's not an intended consequence.
Yeah, for sure.
This is fake, guys.
Yeah,
I don't know.
For sure.
Hey, you know what would really help us out? Please, please, please subscribe, like, and share. But they mentioned this guy, Patriarch Ilya II of Georgia. He's the leader of the Orthodox Church there. And literally the guy just gets up and says, I'm going to personally baptize the third child of every family.
Well, let's explain who he is. He's extremely popular in the country of Georgia. He's a celebrity preacher, essentially.
Give me that old-time religion.
Give me that old-time religion. Give me that old-time religion. Give me that old-time religion. It's good enough for me.
It was good for your father.
In a sense, yeah.
Kind of like Billy Graham, but only like way more famous in that country. And
well, Georgia's a small country. But
it's a small country.
yeah,
But
and they're very religious, and it had a non-zero effect on the birth rate. Now, it could be said that there are other factors that could have helped in that, but it is pretty obvious that it jumped up by 28%. According to national statistics, total annual births increased from about 49,000 to 63,000.
Jeez.
A 28% rise over the 2 years after the initiative began.
And all he said is like he was going to personally baptize the third child of any.
Well, he became their godfather too. So he became the godfather of thousands of kids.
And it's because he was popular. So I think the same effect would probably happen with Taylor Swift. I think once Taylor Swift has a child, I think we're going to have an entire generation of women who are going to have children.
It doesn't even need to be that they're Taylor Swift fans. If there's a group of gals that are all close-knit, tight-knit, and let's just say 2 of them are huge Taylor Swift fans, and it just gets them thinking that maybe they want to have kids. And then the other ones downward trickle from that. The whole group now decides they want to have kids. Yeah, Taylor Swift having kids is going to probably
fix this problem.
I'm kind of a big deal.
Well, I don't know about fixing it, but it
would be interesting to see the
huge
percentage jump. I would imagine that that's something that's going to happen, but it's hard telling because we've had probably the last 10 years of people just saying, no, having children is not for me. And I'm going to get a dog and it's going to be my fur baby. And every 7 years when the dog dies, I'm going to be depressed for months on end.
Having a dog, I think it's kind of a cop out.
You'll probably be eating a banana split before I do. Don't bet on it.
Because we want to take care of something that needs us. Right?
I would take a step further and say that women are natural nurturers. And when they aren't nurturing a child, they're nurturing a pet. And if they can't nurture a child, they're gonna get a pet to nurture.
Something that can't help themselves, right? So they want to take care of something that can't help themselves. Mm-hmm. And that's the kind of nurturing.
That's why men
do it too. I don't.
Well, there's that cliche in pop culture of the old lady who has the dog, right? You see it in all the movies. Mm-hmm. It's her dog. It's her little smoochy poo or whatever.
Dog.
The dog, loser! You took the dog!
Yeah. But it's in pop culture. There is a reason for that. It's because if she's had children and they're grown up and left the nest, then she's replaced her need to take care of something with a dog.
Yeah. Cat lady.
But the problem is this is happening before people have children now.
Yeah.
And they're not having children.
Well, and I think it tricks our brains a little bit. It tricks your brain to think you're taking care of something that biologically we would take care of our children that would outlive us, children and grandchildren. It tricks your brain into thinking you've got this kind of responsibility. When I hated fur babies, the whole term, if you have a dog, if you have a cat, you could still go on a month trip and have somebody come and walk your dog,
take care of your dog.
Right. Like,
but you can't do that with a kid.
Yeah. It's a whole different world of responsibility. And there's so much you're not going to be able to do. And I feel for these guys that are like these high achievers and that everything in their life is just down pat to the minute, right? Their morning routine.
Like Chris Williamson, like Stephen Bartlett. Yeah.
And maybe this is part of why these podcasters don't have kids. Oh, I just thought of another one, Alex Hermosi. And I think Alex Hermosi plans on never having kids. Sure. Okay, cool, man.
Well,
I want to build businesses. I want to, have lots of money. But he had this experience of having a dog, and it was horrible because he didn't have to feed it and walk it and things like that.
Yeah. So the idea was better to him than the reality.
He felt so not productive during those times. And
Yes.
I will tell you, as a parent who has stayed up all night rocking a baby, a sick baby, a colicky baby, you've been there all night long, you are not going to feel productive at all.
Ever.
and you are not going to sleep.
We're not making the case, though, by saying that.
Well, duh.
I'm just saying that this addiction to productivity, this is why, and I think this is why so many of these podcasters haven't had kids, is because they've got this productivity addiction.
Yeah.
Where
100%.
they literally was just throwing a wrench into all that.
Yeah, they talk about this in this video, trying to pull back on that addiction to being absolutely at the top of their game, productivity all the way. And that's a good thing. And that's what Chris is trying to say, is it's a good thing for a little while, but you run into burnout if you do it for 10 years straight. You're going to run into burnout. And that's when you want to settle down, you want to have children, you want to have a family, and you want to experience that stuff. I think part of the problem is pop culture. Pop culture is not showing the benefits of being a parent. That's something that needs to happen. It needs to push this benefit as a win, Otherwise, we're doomed to have no families, doomed to have no children, doomed to have no future on this planet.
We're doomed.
We're doomed.
Yeah, spoiler alert, that's not good. That'll be bad for humans.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly how this gets fixed. Pop culture is one. One of the things about this story about this preacher in Georgia is also religious. I think that there is kind of a gaping hole in society of religiosity.
We're on a mission from God.
I think because if you're part of a church, a culture, a faith that helps encourage child rearing and maybe even helps in the child rearing, it feels like we've become so disconnected that you don't have a tribe anymore. And it takes a village. So if you don't have a village to have kids, then you're not going to have kids.
Well, and you're doing it in isolation. You got the mom that's at home doesn't have friends who are having kids, so she's not going to play dates. So she's
not getting
isolating.
out. So she's literally stuck at home with this toddler that just drives her insane. That's not how it used to be. I mean, it used to be
everybody in the group was having kids at the same time.
All these women would all gather together and have their wash parties, and the kids were all playing.
It was a social event.
Going to the well to get water. I mean, it's just a cultural thing that you can now sit in your home and not go out at all and not go gather with the gathering party, foraging party. We've become so disconnected. And I think becoming more connected will help that. And AI may actually help with that.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Because AI is going to make everything online obsolete because you won't be able to believe what's real anymore. And then we might actually start meeting in person more often. So that's my prediction.
All right. On that, I think we could call it. Check us out on social media, Instagram, X, as well as Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Just look for The Sword in the Skull.
If you liked this, you're the subscriber we are looking for. So please subscribe.
Until next time, keep reading, keep listening, keep watching, learn more. We'll see you, brother.
See ya. Making kids cool again.
Take two.
Today we are discussing.
Oh, try again.
Today we are discussing.
Take one.
Kids and how having them making it cool again. Today we are talking about the act of making kids cool again. No, I'm just kidding. That's a joke.
There you go, son. Now get out of here. You're bothering.